Hey guys, tonight we're going to slow things down and sit with a story that matters. This is the story of a woman who didn't look like what they expected, but who carried more strength, discipline, and vision than anyone in the room could see. Her name is Alyssa Monroe, and what happened when she stepped into a billion-dollar tech company changed everything. Before we begin, please like the video and subscribe, but only if stories like this truly move you. Comment your city and the time you are watching. Now close your eyes or don't, it's your choice. Either way, you're about to witness something real. The automatic doors sigh open just before 7:45 a.m., ushering Alyssa into the gleaming glass-wrapped atrium of Carrington and Locke Innovations. Her black flats scuff softly against the polished concrete as she walks in a canvas tote slung over one shoulder. The lobby is immaculate, sleek black tile, vertical green walls, a motion-activated espresso bar quietly humming in the corner. Everything is curated to signal power, money, prestige. But none of it flusters Alyssa. She's 31 and every room she's ever entered underestimated her at first. She's used to that by now. She makes it 10 steps before the first sidelong glance hits her. A man in a gray pinstripe suit pauses mid-scroll on his phone. His eyes flick from her shoes to her curls, then back to the screen. Two women near the elevators glance at each other. One smirks. Early for the intern shift, huh? Alyssa hears it clearly, but she keeps walking. There's no tremor in her hands, no tension in her jaw. She's been through worse small-town banks that wouldn't lend to her startup. Tech expos where she was mistaken for catering. Even her own high school counselor once told her Howard might be a stretch. Just past the security kiosk, a man barrels into her path juggling a coffee and a garment bag. "Oh, good you're here. Hang this in the third-floor media closet, yeah? And try not to wrinkle it this time." He doesn't even look up. Alyssa looks down at the bag. The suit inside is expensive, tailored navy wool crisp lapels. She sets it gently over the arm of a waiting room chair. "I'm not the temp," she says softly. The man doesn't respond. He's already turned his back. A younger woman with a sleek ponytail and AirPods gives a smirking shrug. "Third floor's where you want to go if you're lost." Alyssa smiles slightly, her voice even. "I'm not lost." Then she presses the elevator button for the 12th floor. The man already inside the facility's lead, judging by his lanyard, glances at her with narrowed eyes. "That's executive," I know, Alyssa replies. The elevator glides upward in silence. She's calm but alert, watching, cataloging. The laughter she hears spilling out from the espresso station when she steps onto floor 12 is too loud for 8 a.m. A cluster of suits loiter near the machine men in their 30s and 40s, all pressed collars and inside jokes. One of them nudges another as she walks past. "She lost," he mumbles. Alyssa doesn't flinch. She walks straight toward the glass-paneled executive conference room. The receptionist, no older than 25, stands up clearly unsure. "Hi, can I help you? Are you delivering something?" "No," Alyssa says. "Okay. Are you with catering?" "No." The woman frowns, uncertain. "I'm sorry, this area is reserved for executive." "I know," Alyssa says. "That's why I'm here." The receptionist opens her mouth confused, but before she can respond, footsteps echo down the hallway. A man in a slim tailored suit slows his stride, phone still in one hand. His gaze lands on Alyssa, then lingers. His name is Daniel Rusk, CFO, and for 12 years he's moved through this building like it's his private chessboard. "You're early," he says. Alyssa tilts her chin, polite but unreadable. "Good morning, Mr. Rusk." He squints. "And you are Alyssa Monroe." His brow creases. "From the auditing firm, no," she replies. "I'm your new CEO." The silence that follows is sharp enough to draw blood. The receptionist freezes, blinking. The suits near the espresso machine stop laughing. Rusk stares. "I'm sorry," what Alyssa reaches into her tote and pulls out her badge. It's crisp and official. Underneath her photo, the words Chief Executive Officer are printed in bold. Rusk clears his throat and steps aside. "Of course. Right this way." Inside the conference room, Alyssa places her tote on a chair and doesn't sit. She stands near the head of the long walnut table and looks out over the company she now leads. But what she doesn't see yet, what no orientation binder can prepare her for, is just how deep the fractures run beneath the surface. She's not walking into a puzzle. She's walking into a test. And some people in this building have already decided she doesn't deserve to pass. But not everything stays buried forever. At precisely 900 a.m., the executive conference room fills with the quiet shuffling of leather chairs, murmured greetings, and the soft tapping of expensive pens on branded notebooks. 11 executives take their seats, some with laptops already open, others scrolling through phones with the performative disinterest of people who think they already know how this meeting will go. Only one seat remains unclaimed, the one at the head of the table. Alyssa steps in without preamble. She doesn't smile, doesn't clear her throat, doesn't announce herself. She walks to the empty chair with measured grace and sets her tote beside it. Then in one calm motion, she takes her seat and looks directly at the room. A few heads lift, a few brows rise. The air shifts. "Good morning," she says evenly. Only half the room echoes it back. She waits a beat longer than most people would, just long enough to let the silence feel like consequence. "Let me save you the introductions," she continues. "Yes, I'm Alyssa Monroe. Yes, I'm the new CEO. No, I'm not here for a photo op or a quarterly highlight reel." A low chuckle rumbles from the far side of the table. Jason Vell, VP of Business Development, leans back in his chair, arms folded. He's in his late 30s, smooth talker, confident in all the ways that never require self-reflection. "With all due respect," he says, "you've been here less than a day. Seems a little early for sweeping judgments." Alyssa doesn't blink. "You're right," she says. "It would be early if this were based on opinion." She taps the remote in her hand and the screen behind her lights up with a slide of cold hard data. "I've spent the last 6 weeks reviewing employee turnover, metrics, exit interviews, internal messaging, and retention statistics. What I've seen points to a company that isn't just stagnating. It's bleeding talent, quietly, consistently, and at scale." Jason's grin falters. Someone near the door lets out a faint breath. Maybe it's relief, maybe it's fear. Alyssa presses forward. "This company doesn't have a revenue problem," as she says. "It has a people problem, one that begins and can end in this room." She clicks again. Another slide, a line graph with a steep downward slope. Creative lead attrition, 4 out of 5. Top minds in marketing gone in under 9 months. Emily DuPont, the chief marketing officer, shifts in her chair. "They left for better offers," she says quickly. "No," Alyssa replies, scanning her notes. "They left citing a consistent lack of respect, being overruled by less qualified voices and toxic leadership culture." "Their words, not mine." Emily looks down. Jason stays quiet. "I didn't come here to make friends," Alyssa says. "I came here to change a culture that's bleeding out from the top." Silence swells again. Jason exhales, shakes his head. "We've had 3 CEOs in 5 years, he mutters. "Forgive me if I don't pin my hopes on number 4. Alyssa stands, walks slowly to the edge of the table, her posture unshaken. "Then you'll be pleased to hear I'm not here to warm the chair. I'm here to bolt it down." Jason looks away. She scans the room, makes eye contact with every person present, one by one. Not to intimidate, but to signal something deeper. That she's not going anywhere. That she sees everything. "If you're not ready to rebuild, to listen, or to grow, or if you think I'm not the right person for this job, now is the time to leave. No hard feelings, but don't stay here and get in the way. No one moves, no one breathes too loud." She clicks the remote again. "Let's begin." For the next hour, Alyssa walks them through the truth. Not to shame, not to punish, but to reveal. Disengagement trends. Department-level dysfunction. An HR department overrun by unresolved complaints. The numbers don't lie, and she doesn't twist them. She speaks with quiet precision. Her voice never rises. Her tone never sharpens. But the weight of her presence shifts something. When the meeting ends, the executives file out slower than they came in. A few whisper to each other. Some avoid her gaze. Jason brushes past her with a muttered impressive start, but his jaw is tight. Leah Prescott, the company's head of legal, waits by the door. She's in her 50s, auburn bob glasses with crimson frames and a stare like a lie detector. "I heard what happened," she says as Alyssa approaches. "You handled that well." Alyssa nods. "Thank you." Leah extends a hand. "Prescott." "Legal." Alyssa shakes it. "You're the first person today who didn't ask what I was doing here." Leah smiles. "That's because I already read your file. What you built back into Mississippi, I don't need to see your shoes to know you're qualified." Alyssa chuckles softly. You ready for the wolves? Leah's smile fades just slightly. Wolves, I don't mind. It's the ones who smile while they sharpen their knives you need to watch for. They walk the hallway together in silence for a moment. Behind them, laughter echoes faintly from the espresso machine again. Alyssa doesn't react, but her steps grow firmer. Because what she's beginning to realize is this: the resistance won't be loud, not at first. It'll be quiet, clever. It will hide behind protocol and chain of command and anonymous comments and emails phrased just delicately enough to cause doubt. And while she's drawing blueprints for a better company, someone else may already be drafting her exit. But not everything stays buried forever. By mid-afternoon, Alyssa is sitting in her new office, a corner suite wrapped in glass offering a panoramic view of a city that moves fast but listens slow. The sunlight spills across her desk, catching on the thin gold edge of a paperweight her grandmother gave her. She hasn't unpacked yet. Just a laptop, a legal pad filled with hand-drawn org charts, and a single black binder with the word audit printed across the top. Leah Prescott stands on the other side of the desk, holding a flash drive between two fingers like a weapon. You'll want to see this, she says quietly. Alyssa plugs it in. Folders open, numbers populate, payments, vendor logs, contracts. Most of it she's seen in part. But this is complete. These weren't just clerical oversights, she mutters, flipping through line items. They routed inflated vendor payments through a shell company. Leah nods. Registered to the brother-in-law of our CFO, that alone has crossed into felony territory. Alyssa exhales, not in shock, but in confirmation. NHR bonuses under fake referrals. Jason Vell, 5 payouts, all to an LLC in Tampa, registered to his cousin. Alyssa leans back in her chair. This isn't a culture problem. It's a system, built on insider favors, kickbacks, and silence. Leah crosses her arms. You think Rusk knows? He doesn't just know, Alyssa says. He's in it. They sit in quiet for a moment. Beyond the glass walls, the office floor hums with the kind of performative busyness that hides so much in plain sight. I can't fire anyone yet, Alyssa says, not without a full paper trail. Then we start digging, Leah replies. And they do. For the next 2 days, they comb through everything. Leah brings files, procurement logs, Slack exports, email threads buried under subject lines like quick Q4 adjustment and per vendor request. Alyssa builds timelines connecting what was signed, when who approved what, and how the money moved. The patterns emerge like bruises under a microscope, not huge dollar amounts at first, just a few thousand here and there. But they add up, and worse, they point to a coordinated effort, one that's protected by friendships, not facts. By Thursday morning, Alyssa has 2 binders filled with hard evidence. One is for the board, the other for herself. That afternoon, she walks past the break room on her way back from legal and hears them, 2 voices, quiet but careless. She's not going to last. You saw Rusk's face. He's already making calls. CEO or not, she's not one of us. They'll push her out by next quarter. Alyssa doesn't stop walking. She doesn't glance in, but she hears everything. In the parking garage, she sits in her car for a long moment, gripping the steering wheel. She thinks of her father's hands, scarred, calloused, strong. He taught her how to hold a shovel, how to hold her ground, and how to spot the weeds before they took over a field. You don't pull weeds to be polite, he once said. You pull them so the good stuff has a chance to grow. She starts the engine. The next morning, she arrives earlier than usual. No one questions her. The front desk greets her like clockwork. The dry cleaning man doesn't appear. The smirks are gone for now. Inside her office, Leah is waiting with 2 coffees and a tight expression. We found more, she says. Alyssa sits already reaching for a pen. Walk me through it. Shell vendors, fake invoices, backdoor marketing deals. But it's not just Rusk and Vell. There are 2 more, one in product, one in ops. They're siphoning resources to build their own side projects using company assets. Internal dev teams have been pulled in off the books. They think no one's noticed. Alyssa nods. That's fraud, IP theft, and breach of contract. And the kicker, Leah pulls out another file. Rusk just greenlit a vendor contract yesterday. The same shell company. He's doubling down, Alyssa says almost to herself. He's daring you to do something, hoping you flinch. But Alyssa doesn't flinch. She begins drafting a full report. Every detail sourced, every number traceable. She doesn't dramatize, doesn't spin. She organizes it the way she organizes everything, with clean lines, sharp truths, and a mind trained to see patterns even when others try to hide them. By evening, the report is done. But as she finishes, Leah hesitates. You should know something else. Alyssa looks up. We've caught wind of a complaint. What kind of complaint? Anonymous, but written with just enough detail to land hard. It accuses you of creating a hostile work environment, acting with retaliatory intent, in targeting specific individuals for termination based on personal bias. Alyssa's eyes narrow, but her voice stays calm. Leah nods. Guaranteed. The phrasing is his, and the board's already received it. Alyssa folds her hands, silent for a moment. Then I've documented every decision, every meeting, every approval. Let them try. Leah tilts her head. They won't come at you directly. They'll use protocol to make it look clean. A formal review, a necessary inquiry. Alyssa closes the binder with quiet finality. Then let's give them the truth. Fully sourced, quietly devastating. No theatrics, just facts. Because what they don't realize yet is that she didn't just come to play by the rules. She came to rewrite them. And not everything stays buried forever. The formal notice comes on a Friday morning. It's worded in pristine corporate speak in light of recent concerns, for the purpose of transparency. Standard executive review. The board frames it as a neutral audit of Alyssa's decisions over the past month, but she knows what it is. It's a temperature check, a pressure test, a chance to decide whether to support her or slowly push her out. She reads it once, then sets it aside. Her office is quiet, sterile, still missing personal touches, no photos, no plants, no framed accolades. Just a whiteboard full of timeline arrows and 3 binders stacked like sentries on the corner of her desk. The review is scheduled for Monday. That gives her 3 days to prepare, though truthfully she's already ready. She was born ready. On Sunday night, Alyssa doesn't rehearse a speech. She lays out documents, tabbed, indexed, cross-referenced. Every firing is backed by policy violations, every expense report by real-time data, every signature in context. Not one move she's made has been out of anger. Every step was calculated, legal, and documented. The board thinks she's going to plead her case. She's not. She's going to state it. When Monday arrives, she walks into the boardroom alone. No assistant, no lawyer, just a black binder under one arm and the quiet weight of 1,000 assumptions pressing on her back. 7 board members sit around the table. Some smile politely, some don't smile at all. The chair of the board, a silver-haired man named Preston White, clears his throat. Ms. Monroe, thank you for being here. As you know, we've received an anonymous complaint. I've read it, Alyssa says calmly. You'll find my full response in this binder. She places it gently on the table. It contains documentation timelines, witness corroborations, and legal sign-off on every decision made since I assumed the role. Another board member, a woman in a deep green blazer, leans forward. Her expression is careful. This isn't just about procedure. There are concerns about tone. Some employees feel excluded, that perhaps the pace of change has been too swift. Alyssa nods slowly. I hear that. And I want to be clear, this company operated for years like an exclusive club. Decisions were made behind closed doors. Talent was pushed out, not promoted. Fraud was overlooked in the name of stability. That wasn't leadership. That was survival. She pauses. I wasn't hired to maintain survival. I was hired to create change. A few glances pass between board members. No one interrupts. She flips open the binder. Slide 1, a graph of employee engagement, up 46% in 30 days. Slide 2, anonymous HR complaints cut in half. Slide 3, operational savings, $1.2 million recovered from fraudulent vendor contracts. Slide 4, engineering talent retention highest since 2018. I'm not sorry the tone has changed, Alyssa says, her voice quiet but firm. It needed to. The room is still. Then from the end of the table, a voice speaks up. It's Margaret Ellis, the oldest member of the board, a black woman in her 70s who said almost nothing in the last 3 meetings. Her eyes, sharp and unreadable, rest on Alyssa. We've waited a long time for someone to say that out loud. Preston White clears his throat again, softer this time. Thank you, Ms. Monroe. We'll review the material and be in touch shortly. Alyssa nods, gathers her binder, and leaves without another word. The next 72 hours stretch like wire. Her inbox is unusually quiet. Executives who used to flood her with questions suddenly loop in legal or ghost entirely. There are whispers, but nothing direct. The company feels like it's holding its breath. Then Thursday morning, the email arrives. Subject executive review. Final decision. Alyssa reads it twice. No further action. Your decisions stand. The board appreciates your transparency. She doesn't smile, doesn't celebrate. She simply exhales and opens her laptop to prepare for the afternoon department sync. There's work to be done, but the message is clear now. They tried to shake her. Instead, she stood still while the ground moved under them. That afternoon, she walks into the main floor break room, carrying a cardboard box of assorted donuts. No assistant, no announcement. She sets it down near the interns and pulls out a chair. Y'all like chocolate glaze or nah? She asks casually. A guy from analytics blinks, then grins. Wait, you're just sitting here. I'm here every day, aren't I? She replies. You're not what we're used to, another voice says from the corner. Alyssa shrugs. Maybe that's a good thing. The room hums with soft laughter, but beneath it is something more solid, something that feels like trust, or the start of it. In the days that follow, word spreads quietly but steadily. The CEO didn't just survive the board's scrutiny. She walked into it like a storm and walked out with her head higher than before. But she knows better than to relax, because not everything stays buried forever. On the following Monday, Alyssa rolls a stack of black metal folding chairs into the center of the open floor workspace. No memo, no agenda. Just a circle of chairs and a handwritten sign that reads, "Let's talk." One by one, employees wander over: engineers, sales reps, admin, staff, custodial crew. No titles, no formal introductions, just people. She takes the first chair. Not at the head, not in front, just part of the circle. I want to know what this place feels like, she says. No filters, no sugarcoating. If Carrington and Locke were a person, how would you describe them? There's a long pause. Then a young man in IT raises his hand. Fake, he says plainly. An older woman from customer support nods. Exhausting. Another mutters clicky. They talk. She listens. Not just politely, but fully. She doesn't check her phone, doesn't take token notes. She writes like someone who plans to follow through. The session lasts 45 minutes. Then she thanks them, stacks the chairs again, and says, "We'll do this again soon." And she does. Every other day, a new circle, different departments, different voices. The format never changes. No hierarchy, just honesty. Over time, something shifts. Not loudly, but steadily. Managers who used to bark orders begin asking for feedback. Engineers who never spoke up in meetings start raising their hands. The break room gets a little louder, not with complaints, but with conversation. HR receives its first thank you emails in years. One Friday, Alyssa launches Open Fridays 10-minute sessions where any employee can book time on her calendar. The first round fills up in under an hour. One session stands out. Letitia James, a logistics coordinator in her early 30s, walks in nervously. She sits down across from Alyssa, hands in her lap. I don't really have a question, Letitia says. I've never seen anyone up here who looks like me. Not just the way you look. The way you carry yourself. I wanted to say thank you. Alyssa leans forward, her voice soft. Letitia, you belong in any room you're in. You don't need my permission for that. But I appreciate you saying it, Letitia smiles. Nobody's ever said that to me. In the third week, Alyssa stands in front of a whiteboard late one evening sketching floor plan ideas. Leah walks in holding two folders. You're redesigning the office, she asks. Alyssa nods. Nobody collaborates because the departments are walled off. It's not a structure, it's a maze. She wipes a section clean and adds a new box. No more corner offices. Leah raises an eyebrow. Even yours, Alyssa smiles. Especially mine. By the fourth week, the change is visible, tangible. The company doesn't look different from the outside. The glass still gleams, the logo still sits neatly above the revolving doors, but inside it breathes differently. People speak up, share ideas, ask questions. The Friday all hands, which used to feel like a mandatory funeral with stale coffee, now opens with open mic moments, small celebrations, and sometimes quiet apologies. One afternoon, Leah slips into Alyssa's office and says, "You know, when you walked in here, I wasn't sure you'd last. Not because of you, because of them." Alyssa doesn't respond right away. She's reading a handwritten note left on her desk by an intern. "Thank you for seeing me. No one ever has." She folds it, gently places it in her drawer. "I didn't come here to last," she says. "I came here to rebuild." But not everyone was ready to accept that. The complaint from Rusk might have fizzled, but the resentment hadn't. A week later, a second anonymous message is submitted to HR, less aggressive, more subtle. Claims of favoritism, too many changes, disruption of legacy systems. But this time something is different. The HR manager, who had once been part of the old guard, responds firmly. All claims reviewed. No violations found. Culture shift in progress is aligned with board-mandated direction. The message is logged, then closed. No further action. And for the first time in years, the silence that follows feels peaceful. Not afraid, not complicit, just peaceful. A month later, Alyssa stands by the espresso machine pouring herself a cup of black coffee. A new hire walks in, nervous, glancing around. First day, Alyssa asks, he nods. "I'm in data ops, just trying to figure out where to stand without looking awkward." Alyssa chuckles and motions to the chair beside her. "Start here. Everything else gets easier from that point on." The young man sits. They sip in silence. While Alyssa doesn't offer a speech. She doesn't point out her title. She doesn't have to. Because the lesson was never about climbing to the top. It was about what she did once she got there. She didn't match their tone, she changed it. She didn't demand respect, she earned it. Quietly, relentlessly, day after day. Because when the world tells you you don't belong, your job isn't to prove them wrong. It's to keep doing the work until they have no choice but to listen. And sometimes real change doesn't come with a bang. It comes with a folding chair, an open notebook, and a question asked in good faith. And maybe the real victory here isn't who got fired or who backed down. Maybe it's who kept showing up, who didn't raise their voice but never lowered their standards, who stood their ground, not with fury but with clarity. Alyssa Monroe walked into a building where she was treated like an assistant and left it standing taller than anyone expected, not because she forced them to see her power, but because she never let it go unseen. She listened. She acted. She stayed. And through it all, she proved a quiet truth. Too many people forget leadership doesn't live in a title. It lives in what you choose to do when no one's watching. When the hallway goes quiet, when the room stops laughing, when the doors finally close and it's just you and the choice to speak up or stay small. She spoke, she built, and she stayed.